Hello everybody, I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather update for this October 21st, 2023. It's being brought to you by WSR Insurance Services Incorporated and Ag Risk Advisors. Well, there could be a lot going on over the next week in the western United States, western Canada as well. It will start fairly quietly though. For the beginning of this forecast period, mild, nice autumn weather will continue, except for some showers moving into Washington, Oregon, and Northern California later this weekend and into early next week. But the plains, the Rockies, the southwest United States, just very quiet weather, but that changes. We're going to see rain come up into the central and southern plains of the U.S., from East Texas up through parts of New Mexico, maybe, and all the way up into Oklahoma, Kansas, then eventually the Corn Belt. As we get into next week, as the remains of Hurricane Norma drift across Mexico and into the southern and central parts of the United States towards the middle of next week. Then across western Canada, we have a storm system. Now, we've got a lot of question marks with it. We don't know exactly where it's going to track yet, but there's going to be a tendency for much colder weather in the far west and northern areas of the United States and many areas of Canada's central and western areas late next week and next weekend up through Halloween. That'll be something that livestock interests we're going to want to pay attention to because we are due for a big change to much colder weather. We are headed towards late October here, but there's a lot of question marks on where exactly the system will track. So you're going to want to watch the weather carefully next week and keep track of forecasts. Now, over the past week, some good rain fell across a large part of the central United States. Areas of rain and snow over the past week across portions of Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota, then into the upper Midwest. But across the southwest United States, the Great Basin, the Southern Plains areas continue dry as the storm track has been favoring more of those northern areas. As we take a look at temperatures over the last week, well, cooler in those areas that picked up the rain, but pretty warm in the west relative to average as the nice autumn weather in many areas has continued. As we start the forecast period for this period of time, for this weekend, for the beginning of this forecast period, high pressure over the west is going to produce sunny weather. All across most of the west into the central areas of the United States looks good. Now down here in Mexico, this is what will be left of Hurricane Norma right here. It's going to track this way. So rain will spread out of Mexico and will move up into New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, then into the Corn Belt and Midwest by early to mid next week, while high pressure keeps conditions dry this weekend and warmer than average into, let's say, Monday and maybe Tuesday. But this area of low pressure right here is going to start to impact the Pacific Northwest with some showers this weekend and into Monday and Tuesday. Now, this is where the weather gets a little bit different. And this is where we're going to be looking at things change. Rain will spread out ahead of the remains of Norma right here. This is going to be especially true between Tuesday through Thursday. So we actually have two systems. This one right here, and then this one diving out of western Canada. We have a lot of question marks with this system right here. We don't know how far south it's going to move out of Canada. It may stay up along the U.S.-Canadian border or drop further south into the Rockies. What it will do is it will usher in colder weather and some rain and snow for western Canada and many areas of the western United States, especially the northern Rockies and eventually the northern plains. This will be the coldest storm system of the season. So you're going to want to watch it carefully and see how it evolves. It'll likely stick around into a week from now, keeping the west colder and unsettled, especially near the U.S.-Canadian border and across the northern plains with colder temperatures and areas of snow. And you can see the potential for cold. This is by next Saturday, a week from now. See all that purple across Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas there? That cold air could come down into the Rockies and spill across the southern plains and points east as the week progresses. But the intensity of the cold and how long it sticks around is yet to be determined. But if everything does come together with this cold and the rain, we're going to see the potential for pretty significant rains. First with the remains of Norma here, and then along the track of the low across the northern Rockies and northern plains as the low goes like this. If the low goes more to the south, this area of heavy rain and snow will be pushed further south. Here is the snowfall forecast. Take this with a grain of salt, but this shows you what the potential is. That low, if it goes more south, will cause the snow to be more south. If the storm tracks more north, then we're going to see those snow potentials across Montana, northern Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota in particular. This will be associated with those much colder temperatures. And most of this comes late next week and into next weekend. So livestock interest, watch the weather carefully in those areas where you see the pink, the blue, and those darker shades of purple there. That's where there could be concerns for livestock interest, especially weak newborn livestock, young livestock, anybody that needs to move things around. You're going to want to watch that weather as we get to late next week and next weekend. Our next update will be the 28th. Have a good week ahead.